I'm going to very quickly walk through the workflow of working with multiple cameras in Premiere. All right, follow along. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So you should already have a folder that is going to be your project folder. So this folder, everything associated with this folder is going to be inside that folder. So everything associated with this project, every single file that we're going to use is going to be inside the project folder. So we have something for archival video in case there's archival video. Audio, this is where your external audio recording will go. Documents, this is where you will put transcripts and scripts that you work on. Export, this is where anything you export from Premiere will end up in the exports folder. Photos, if you have photos, if people send you photographs, this is where those go. Premiere is where we're actually going to save the Premiere project file. So whenever you edit, you will go to the Premiere folder and open up the Premiere file. And that will open Premiere so that you can edit. And then in your video file, you have camera 1, then you have camera 2, and then if you have any B-roll or anything like that that's additional, you're welcome to bring that in as well. Okay, so we have all of our assets organized. That's the first step, is to organize our assets. And now we're gonna go ahead and open Premiere. So we are going to go ahead and open Premiere. I'm gonna start a new project. So I'm gonna open Premiere. You might have to look up here for Premiere. In the top right, you might have to use the little search bar to find Premiere. But I'm opening Premiere. Sometimes it takes a while, so be patient. It's gonna open up a project like this. So now I'm gonna go to New Project. I'm gonna title it the Firefighter Project. I'm gonna browse for where I want to put it. So for example, mine is on my hard drive and it's the Firefighter Project in the Premiere folder. So yours might be on the desktop, but you wanna find that project folder, and then inside it, you're gonna save it to the Premiere. And then you're just gonna make sure the capture format is an HDB, not DV. Then you're gonna press OK. And this is going to open your Premiere Pro project. So this is gonna just go ahead and open up the Premiere Pro project. Now we have to import the assets that we are going to use in the project. So you can go up here to File, Import, or you can double click in the bottom left hand. I'm double clicking, going to my project folder, and then I'm gonna go to my video and I'm gonna import. I'm gonna just select these 2 folders and it's going to import the 2 folders and everything in them. So you can see that the files are here. And now I'm going to double click and I'm going to go back to my larger project folder and I'm gonna import the audio as well. So I'm importing the audio from the lens hopper. So we'll have the camera 1 will have audio and visuals associated that came straight out of the camera. Camera 2 will have audio and visuals. And then we have just the audio from the external audio recorder. And now we're just gonna drag things onto the timeline. This bottom right-hand section is where we're actually going to edit. So the way Premiere is set up, there's 4 quadrants. This quadrant, the program quadrant, timeline, and then this is where you see all the files in the media browser. So if I double click on something in the bottom left, it will open it in the top left, and then I can see this file by zooming around. Doing this allows you to see those raw files that came straight out of your camera. But what we wanna do is we actually wanna start editing them. So I'm going to select both of them. I'm holding down the Shift key to select more than one. Sometimes you can also hold the Command key if you want to select files that are not right next to each other. So I'm selecting these 2 and I'm clicking and dragging them over to the timeline. And now it will automatically create what's called a sequence that has the same settings as the footage that you pulled over. So for example, if you're working with archival footage, bring that over second or third. First, the first thing you want to drag over is the camera, is footage from the camera that you're mainly going to be using, so that it will automatically create sequence settings that match what came out of your camera. This is helpful because you might end up seeing that your footage looks really zoomed in, and that might be because the settings are different, and so your footage is much larger than whatever the settings are on the timeline. But you can navigate that in a different way by just pulling everything over. And what you can see in this bottom left-hand quadrant is that it actually created a sequence. So we have up here, we have in this file, you have the purple is for visuals and the green is for audio. So that means this is a video. This file has both visuals and audio. And then you have this funny file, which is this file on the bottom right. The funny icon is actually for a sequence. So to keep everything organized, everything can kind of move in Premiere. To keep everything organized, I like to just create a new bin. So I like to, right here, there's this new bin, or I can right click and say new bin. And I'm gonna put in here, I'm gonna just say sequences. Sometimes I like to say drafts. So maybe you'll say drafts, whatever you'd like. And I'm gonna drag this funny icon into there. So what I wanna do first is I want to sync everything. So I want everything that I have to be from the interview, all of my footage and audio associated with the interview, to be on the timeline. So right now you can see I have the 2 clips from camera 1. And I want to drag also the 2 clips from, the 3 clips from camera 2. All right, so in order to sync things, Premiere has kind of a funny way of doing this, but in order to sync everything, in the case that maybe you want to use your camera audio, you don't only want to use your external audio, you have to move files so that these camera files are all on a different row. So you can see V1 and A1, this is the only file, right? And then in V2, this is the only file, it's the only one on the row of A2. So you have to drag things so they're all on different rows so that when Premiere's syncing function happens, it allows them to move. Because if you had 2 files, they might get jammed together. All right, so this is camera 1. I'm gonna go ahead and drag everything from camera 3 on here. And again, I want them all to be in their own row. So there's nothing in camera 3 except that. There's nothing in camera 4. And so this one, I'm just clicking it and dragging it up and it will create a new row if you drag it up and drag it down. So all of these things are in their own rows. I actually need a little bit more space. So I'm gonna drag this whole thing up. And now I'm also going to click and drag the external audio from the recorder, and I'm kind of hovering way below everything. It's gonna create A6, a whole nother row. So every single file is in its own row. Now I'm gonna select all of it. I like to kind of click and draw a box, but you can also just Command A. Command A selects everything. So once you select everything, everything's on their own rows. Now you're gonna right click and go to synchronize. And then you're gonna synchronize it by the audio. This is actually going to use the physical shapes of the waveforms to match them up. So you'll be able to see the peaks and valleys, and it's gonna make all of those so that they're in line with each other. All right, this takes a minute, so this is probably going to take a while, so just be patient, depending on how long your interview is. Usually it does a pretty good job. So great, I'll see you in a second once these are all synced. All right, so now everything actually just got synced. So you can tell that things moved out of order. They were all the way aligned with the 0 first point of the timeline, but they all moved over. So if you use your cursor to play and listen, hopefully it will sound like it's in sync.
It's kind of like a second family to us because we live here like 2/3 of our lives.
So it's sounding pretty good.
We were 10 days
if you want to test it, you can also hide the top layer
home, we're here,
to see the bottom layer.
It's kind of like a second family.
It's really nice. And
so you can see that it's kind of all synced together. All right, so now what you want to do is you want to move all of your files back so that they're easier to edit. So the way to do this is we know that this one is named, Colquitt. This one is the same one from camera. So I'm gonna click just one of them and I'm gonna click and I'm gonna drag it down. You can see this time code has appeared. The time code has 00000. You want it to stay in the zeros. That means that it's synced. if you move something, for example, all right, my dog just came in. If you move something, for example, I'm gonna move this one. If I just drag it, click and drag it down, hopefully the zeros appear. But if it gets out of whack, you can kind of see, do you see how all of a sudden there's the -2 minutes and 7 seconds and 4 milliseconds, right? So you don't want that to happen. It needs to be on that 000 time code, because if it moves out of line, the numbers change to tell you how far away from being synced it is. So you want to just be very cautious to drag it up, just so that you're dragging it with all of those zeros, right? So I'm clicking this one and I'm dragging it all the way down. And what I'm doing for this is I want, I don't know if I necessarily, so you want to make sure the zeros, and then this one you're also going to go with your zeros. Okay, so now the organization, as you're going to start to edit, you want to stay as organized as possible. So what I like to do is on V1 is all of my footage from camera 1. So that's V1 and A1. In V2 and A2, that's all of my footage from camera 2. And then A3 is my external audio. So now I'm gonna play it. It should all be synced.
Pay extra for that.
Right? I can,
So
again,
when we
hide
get
it.
that, we usually do the first thing, like especially on CPI.
I can see what's going on, right?
We do all of this,
which is great.
to save lives.
And now, now you have everything that you shot related to your audio interview is all on the timeline. So this sequence, I'm gonna rename it All Synced. I like to rename things so that I know what they are. This is the timeline that you are going to export your audio from so that you can have a transcript. So I'm gonna go ahead and export my audio for this timeline because it's all ordered, everything is synced. So once I export my audio, this is gonna be the thing that I'm gonna use the time codes to find where the footage is. So go to File, you have to make sure that the sequence is selected, and go to File, Export Media. It's gonna pop up the export window, and you're gonna change the format. You actually just wanna export an MP3, right? And I'm gonna double click where it says output name. If you click on that blue, this is where you decide where you wanna save it. So you're gonna go to your project folder, and then you're gonna go to your export folder. So everything you edit, everything that you create in Premiere and export is going to go into the export folder. Press save and then export.